Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome into another edition of 8Sports Nightcap here on WRSEnow.com, on our Facebook page, YouTube page, however you're watching the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Another special episode this week. You know, we've kind of been counting down the days now at this point, right? To NASCAR finally returning to Richmond Raceway. It's been a long time since they've been back. The only other time in terms of distance between races to take place at Richmond Raceway was the COVID season when there was only one race. Obviously, we lost our race back in March, and it's left us with a full year since the last time that the NASCAR Cup Series came to Richmond Raceway. So excited for that to finally kick off. We're about 10 days away now, less than 2 weeks away from the race taking place over at Richmond Raceway. Saturday night racing. It's back on Saturday night. I know there's a lot of excitement about that. A lot of my friends from the area, I think they're planning on going out and, you know, kind of experiencing NASCAR for the first time. And I think if you haven't been to a race before, if you've, wondered, what would it be like? What's that look like? What's the price point look like? It's an affordable, fun event, family-friendly event that I highly encourage everyone to go to if you've not been to a race before. I've been to one as a fan before. I've obviously covered races as well, and they're really fun event just in terms of the energy in the crowd. And of course, we're going to be out there all next week with full coverage of the race weekend. The modifies race on Thursday, the truck series on Friday night, and then the Cup Series moves back from Sunday night racing to Saturday night racing on August 16th. And there's a lot of excitement. Last year there was that crazy finish between Austin Dillon wrecking out Denny Hamlin, as well as another driver on the way to his first win of the year. They had all that controversy. Richmond kind of brings out some drama, right? Last March, it was the Richmond guy, Chesterfield native Denny Hamlin, that took it home. And with where the race sits in the schedule, right? There's playoff spots on the line. There's only so many more weeks left in the year to get a win to try to get into the playoffs. So we're kind of expecting to see another exciting into the race, another exciting race this upcoming week. And to kind of sit down and preview it last week, obviously we spoke with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And then this week I was able to secure some time with Ty Gibbs. Not quite as much time as it was with Ricky, because obviously he was in studio with us. But it was a great conversation with Ty Gibbs to kind of give you a little background on him. Obviously his grandfather, Joe Gibbs, a longtime coach of the Washington Redskins at the time, Commanders now. And then of course he was in charge of Joe Gibbs Racing. And we kind of talked about his background and how he got into NASCAR, and then his thoughts on the upcoming Commander season. Still a big fan, said he was at training camp just this past week. So great conversation with Ty. Can't thank him enough for taking the time to chat with us. And so let's go ahead and kick it to that interview. Here's Ty Gibbs. All right, joined now by the driver of the 54 Monster Car, Ty Gibbs. Ty, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me. How excited are you to come to Richmond? Do you like Richmond as a racetrack, as a city? Have you been often?
Yeah, I've been to Richmond a lot. I of course grew up in kind of the DMV area as well. So I am I guess my home state is Virginia, and I spent a lot of time there. So going to Richmond's kind of like a home track for me a little bit. I spent a lot of time there as well. So pretty excited. Richmond's pretty hard track, so but it's really fun as well. So it's always fun going there, and it's just a big weekend long race, very important race, and it's super cool to be a part of.
We're kind of expecting a lot of fans to come out to this race that, maybe haven't experienced a NASCAR race before, with the track moving, or the race rather, moving back to Saturday night. I know there's a lot of excitement about that. What's it like racing under the lights rather than, a Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, I prefer that better, honestly. I think, Race Under the Lights is awesome. And, Sunday kind of can just, have a Sunday to ourselves. And I wish it was kind of more like it. Wish we could do Race Under the Lights more. I think it's just cool. And the atmosphere is good. I don't think, it's not so hot. Everybody's, can just take a deep breath and sit, kind of in where it's a little bit cooler. It's been so hot lately. I'm kind of over it, to be honest with you. So the grass is always greener on the other side of it, because sometimes, like, in the winter, I'm like, I wish it was just super hot right now. But Yeah, I just think people like it more. It's just easier to go to. Not as hot for some of the fans, so it's just a fun deal. I think the atmosphere is better, especially under the lights. So super cool.
Yeah, we were obviously kind of disappointed with the fact we lost one of our dates this year, but the fact that it moved back to Saturday, I think a lot of people are excited about that. Could you kind of explain as a driver what makes Richmond unique? What makes it different than, Iowa or Michigan or Indianapolis?
Um, Yeah, it's a very old surface. It's really abrasive, so it's really hard on the tires. And after a certain amount of laps, the tires are really worn out, and you're really just sliding around out there. Honestly, like a dirt track a little bit. And you have to. There's a lot of different techniques on kind of saving your tires and making them last longer than other guys. Because some people will go harder earlier, and sometimes it works, but then they fall off. So. I think there's naturally a lot of passing at Richmond, and it just puts on a good show. I think it's always been pretty fun from my perspective.
Yeah, and for our listeners that maybe aren't that familiar with Ty, came up from the Xfinity Series a couple of years back, and you've really been impressive in terms of the finishes you've managed to have this year. Still looking for that first win, though. What's kind of this journey been like of, you've found a lot of success early, but you just haven't been able to get to victory lane?
Yeah, we've been really solid the last couple weeks, and last year and the year before, but we were good too. So it's just you're just waiting on the next step. I feel like we're all right there. Just kind of have to put it together and kind of have to have a race come our way. In a way, the sense of the way the cautions lay out and how the strategy works. But we're really close, and my team's been working really hard, and it's been really fun.
Obviously Ty Gibbs, everyone recognizes the Gibbs name in racing. What was it like kind of growing up around the sport like you did? I mean, could you ever even imagine doing anything other than what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I really didn't grow up around NASCAR a whole lot. I didn't spend we had a team, of course, throughout my years, but I did not spend my time around NASCAR. I grew up around, my dad had a supercross team, motocross team.
Oh, really?
I grew up around that and I spent about all my time over there. I really didn't care much about NASCAR. I thought it was cool. Acknowledged drivers
Yeah.
and thought they were cool, but I didn't really care, honestly. I love motocross, and that was kind of my sport. Fortunately, my mom told me, wouldn't let me do it. So NASCAR was a better way, of course, to make a lot more money. It's a lot safer, and our careers can be a lot longer. But I love, motorcycles. I grew up racing bicycles. So, I didn't really spend much time around NASCAR. I spent more time around football and about motocross. So, but NASCAR has always been super cool. Maybe if I got into it any earlier, I don't think I might be burned out more, but I really enjoy NASCAR now. I really enjoy when I got into it. Maybe if I was like 20 years previously can get into it would be really cool too through the 90s. But very blessed to be in the position I'm in and just try to make the best of it.
You kind of bring that up. You missed, some of the biggest names in the sports by just a couple of years. Do you have a favorite racer that you have raced against, and there is somebody that you've heard stories of? You're like, man, I wish I could have had that opportunity to be on the track with them.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I really wish I got the race against Carl Edwards and a lot of people, I kind of grew up watching in a way when I got involved with the sport. But somebody I always appreciated racing was, Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr.
Hmm.
Those are two of the older guys that, they're retired now, but I feel like I have a good relationship with them and have known them a lot longer than most guys and in the sport, and I've always kind of looked up to them as well. So fortunately, I got to race with them. So, but yeah, we're in a different generation. It's pretty cool to see where it's gone.
Have you enjoyed? I know it's been a couple of years now, but that transition from the past car to now the next gen car. Now that the wrinkles have kind of maybe been smoothed out in terms of getting used to it, and you've had some time to breathe with it a little bit. Is your mindset with the new car any different than it was maybe than when you first got behind the wheel?
Yeah, my mindset hasn't changed much with, the cars. We kind of approach it the same way. Just go as fast as you can and try to lead as many laps as you can and win. But there's a lot of things that go into it. But it's pretty similar, just a lot more technical. This car, unfortunately, is kind of a pain sometimes, and everybody has to fight the same problems. So it's just part of it, and it's part of learning a new car. I don't think that we've ever had anything like this in NASCAR ever. I don't really consider it a stock car.
Yeah.
It's more like a GT3 car, or if you have a BMW M5 or something. So a lot more power and less assist, but it's just a little bit different. But it's cool. I enjoy that. I enjoy racing NASCAR a lot. It's fun to be part of it, but I love racing other things as well. And NASCAR is just not my identity, and I enjoy running all different types of things. Maybe one day I'll be running a different series. I'm very young, so I can do a lot of things,
Yeah.
fortunately. So, this isn't just my main deal. So, but it's very cool to be a part of it, and always enjoy it. But I don't know, maybe we'll be doing something different in the next couple of years. I don't know. There's always a lot of options, and I love racing and just try to make the best of it.
What are, if you don't mind sharing, kind of maybe something you would like to experiment with and get into later? Is that IndyCar? Is that trying to get into the Formula Series? What's that look like?
Yeah, of course, I enjoy. I think IndyCar is really cool, and would love to do the Indy 500 one day. And I love the Formula cars. We have, I feel like, a lot of connections overseas. I have a lot of friends that live overseas, so I think that's something that would be really really cool, and probably ideal and in reach to do. But I don't know. Right now, I'm just focusing on the Cup car and
Yeah.
doing that. I enjoy the racing the dirt cars as well, the sprint cars. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
Yeah. And kind of finish up here. Grew up in the DMV area, obviously grew up around Redskins training camp. Do you still follow the team, or are you still a big Commanders fan, even though obviously some time since your grandfather was the team?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I spent the first 10 years of my life in DC basically, so just in Alexandria. But I'm always a Commanders fan, Nationals fan, Capitals fan. But I represent my roots, and that's I was just at training camp actually last
Were
week.
you
So
really?
yeah, I very cool. My brother goes to the University of Maryland, so I'm very proud in the state of up or that area up there. But very very honored always to go back and go see it, and super cool to see the legacy that my family has left in that area. So very honored always.
Yeah, obviously there's a bunch of Commanders fans here in Richmond. Could you mind giving us a training camp update? What'd you see? How you feeling about the team this year?
Yeah, team's looking really good. I think that there's some things that they're kind of working through a little bit right now at the moment. I'm sure that we all see, but I think that it's gonna be a really great year. Last year was a great year. I think it was a surprise and a great year to everybody. And I think that Coach TQ's done a great job with the team and leading the team. And I think that HBSC's done a great job as well with kind of managing the team, and everybody just kind of involved. It's a different atmosphere, and I did a good job last year, and it really paid off. And I'm very looking forward to this year to see how they do. I hope they do good. Hope they do good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I grew up, in Virginia as well, and I was kind of a Redskins fan, but they were never that good, so it was hard to buy in or whatever. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about the season. I'm sure as you are as well. Ty, thanks so much for taking the time to join the nightcap today.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Yep, thanks. All right, well, a big thank you to Ty Gibbs for sitting down with us to chat a little NASCAR. The Richmond Raceway ready to host yet another cookout 400, another race weekend's coming to Richmond. Again, wish we could have had that race in March, but instead we're gonna have to really pack in the stands this upcoming week to kind of get maybe the chance to get two races back here at Richmond again. I know it's a track that a lot of the drivers like a lot, and I know we got a lot of race fans in the area as well. This Saturday, or next Saturday, excuse me, August 16th, Richmond Raceway back at it again with some night racing. We'll have you covered all throughout the week from Richmond Raceway. So if you want to get full coverage and figure out what's going on, be sure to stay tuned in to 8Sports as I'll be on the sidelines, our new weekend sports anchor. Sidelines, excuse me. I'll be on pit lane in the stands for the race. Madeline Frentress, she'll be there as well, helping out with our coverage. And we're so excited to have another race weekend come through the River City. But for now, that's going to wrap things up here for another edition of the Nightcap. We're back next week, hopefully same time. With it being race week and everything going on, we'll have to wait and see what goes on in terms of our schedule on the Nightcap. But this week, big thanks again to Ty Gibbs for taking the time to chat with us. But for now, have a good night, everybody. We'll see you soon.